Namaste everyone. I'm back with another video, and this time I wanted to showcase some of my deciduous bonsai. It's rapidly getting warmer in zone 9B where I live, and so before they fully leaf out, I wanted to show these deciduous trees and their forms as they are without the distraction of their leaves and covering what they really look like, their structure underneath. So I thought this was a good opportunity, a good time to go ahead and show some of them. The ones on the right are called yama mo miji, which are Japanese mountain maples. Japanese maples, really, but a specific variant that is stronger in the sun than some of the other Japanese maples. There's a few different types, really. And these ones are actually all maples native to Japan are called kaede. And the one in the middle is a trident maple, and in Japanese it's called to kaede, to distinguish that it's not native to Japan, but it originally came from China. The to, the Japanese character for it, or the kanji for it, is referring to, I think, Tang Dynasty China, which is about 1,000 years ago when these trident maples were first brought to Japan. Not very common knowledge. Some of the old bonsai practitioners that I've spoken with, they've told me that kind of information, but some of the younger people and people on YouTube, they just seem to only call these kaede, but that's not true, because really the Chinese character qualifier in front of kaede shows that it's originally from somewhere else. But anyways, I digress. And the trees on the left, I actually forgot what their names are. I have to use Google Lens whenever they leaf out, and I'll be able to remember their Japanese names and then find their common names or their scientific Latin names. But they're very interesting in shape. So let me go ahead and get into it. Let me see. This one I've had for about, 3 years, I think. And it's changed form a lot. It was originally about 6 times this height. And I've had to make some cuts at a few places, like right here, a big cut. In the back, I made a big cut here. So this one used to have maybe 2 or 3 leaders. So it's all more like a Medusa than a bonsai. So I had to cut back to 1 natural leader. And if I ever, wanted to showcase this, bring it to one of my bonsai places that I go get trees from, or talk to the bonsai masters, I think I should bring this in sometime. In Japan, if someone ever wants to apprentice with someone, if you're a carpenter, you have to show 1 interlocking block of wood that shows your technique, your skill. And I think in a way, this tree, how I've been able to refine it, change the shape to something very bonsai-like in triangular form, with nice taper. I think this would be something I would like to showcase if I got around to it. I don't really know if I'll try to apprentice with anyone. But anyways, whenever I pick up this tree, I always remember William Blake, and I think everyone knows that section of the poem from Auguries of Innocence, which means omens of innocence, or I guess talking about the future. And to see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. So every time it's in my garden and I pick it up, because I put it on the ground, and then I forget about it sometimes, other than watering. But my goodness, I really, really, really like this form. This branch over here probably will eventually just die. There's not really so many red tips, So it's possible it will still bud, but it is getting weaker and weaker. I think some beetle perhaps gnawed at it, or some other creature. It's missing some of the bark, and I may try to keep it there as a deadwood, or deadwood, or jin, as they say in Japanese. Some people don't really recommend using a deadwood technique on a deciduous tree, but the balance is just so nice there, I think, if I leave it. Okay, and again, here's my tokaede. This one I actually grew from a cutting, and wow, it's really starting to finally take some good shape. It took a while. I had to plant it in the ground, make a giant cut over here, and finally there's some back budding in some certain places that needed it. And if you know where the inner nodes are, you can always frequently coax some of the back buds, some of the latent buds to come back, if you know how to cut back some of the green living wood at the right time. This one I've had not too long, maybe a year, but I've drastically changed the shape. It had a different leader and canopy, and I really like this. I should put it in another pot. Actually, I think I did already, but I need to maybe get a more appropriate pot for it. And what's amazing about finding some bonsai, getting excited about finding bonsai, the best bonsai practitioners and at the nurseries that I sometimes go to, some of them leave enough branches for you, the next bonsai practitioner, to really to make it in some nice image or form, I guess, that we have in mind. And so I think this is going to be the shomen here. I haven't decided though. There's so many possible shomens or fronts, but it's definitely got some scars. Eventually that's okay, as long as I can keep growing some strong branches above them. They'll eventually be less and less noticeable. And anyways, the scars, just like in humans, they make up who we are, and we don't always have to hide them. They can become part of our character, or aji, as the Japanese call it. So you'll see some trees with some unique characteristics and scars, sometimes no scars, but even the scars themselves become a piece of the history or the narrative of the tree, just like humans. But I'm really looking forward to this leafing out. This one, wow. I got it maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago now. And to me, it reminds me of Shiva Nataraja. Shiva Nataraja, I think, is the pronunciation. But there's this dancing Shiva doing the cosmic dance that it really reminds me of. And I think one time on Facebook, I took this and then a screenshot of Shiva in the yoga pose, not yoga pose, I'm sorry, the Nataraja form, and it looked so similar. So I really like this a lot, especially without the leaves. When the leaves appear, they're actually quite big. I can reduce the size. You cut it once, and hopefully later on they regrow. And they do regrow on this particular species a little bit smaller, but they're still quite big. You can reduce a lot of the maple's leaves very well. And the last tree to showcase, wow. This one is a beautiful tree. I've transferred the tree into different pots. Let's see, mostly from transplanting, I guess, and slip putting. I'm sorry, I'm slipping my mind. But this tree is like fantastic. The shape of this tree, I think. I've had it for less than a couple of years, but I've really pruned it pretty well, I think, and I've had to change the angle, and it looks so gorgeous with that hollow man look over there, where it's like really decaying, and there's a hole, if you could see right there in the camera. But yeah, I mean, it was getting weaker when I got it, but by slip potting it slightly, next pot size up, and then I did it again recently. It's really enjoying the more room with new root growth. And yeah, this is a fantastic tree. Even with leaves, in full leaf, it's pretty gorgeous. I love the shape. It's more triangular now, and I had to wire a lot of these down the branches. But anyways, like I said, this is mostly a pure bonsai post, and I hope you're not too bored. But I hope you have a nice day. And Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which means basically may all beings be happy and free from suffering. And Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, may all beings have peace in all the realms. Namaste.